Oh, good morning. Uh, don't take that too personal. So today was a day I took my son, who was disabled in a wheelchair, can't speak or whatever. I took him to the dentist, closing the name of the place because there's no need. They're not all that important. But anyway, today we went to the dentist and we were there for about a few seconds and they asked for ID and they asked for an insurance card. I didn't have the insurance card, but I had the social security number. So I gave the social security number and the lady looks in the computer and she goes, "Oh, I don't see you." I said, "Okay, how is that possible?" They goes, "You don't exist." I said, "Okay, well, that is my son's social security. Are you telling me that his he isn't who he is? Like his name isn't who he is? His social security doesn't match his name?" Um, okay, so fine. First, she said something about the insurance. There were 10 types of insurance, but there's only one with that type of insurance title. Anyway, so moving on from there, I gave her my social security number. I said, well, you can find all my kids under my social. So she looked it up and I went to go change him, because that's important, you know. Um, Came back out and she said, excuse me, ma'am. I said, yes. She's like, listen, I checked and can't find you. I said, what are you saying? I said, maybe it has something to do with the government shutdown. I don't know if that's the problem. You can't find us because, some area of the system was closed. She said, no, you just don't exist. I was like, really? Okay, so we don't exist. She said, well, maybe you could call the insurance and get ID. I was like, but if I don't exist, why would I call the insurance to get ID? I said, well, how about I just don't have ID, or we aren't who we say we are, and I just don't know. So instead of making like a big old fuss, oh, I'm going to protest against you and, yada, yada, yada. I don't even know what the problem was, and I really don't care. There are plenty of dentist office out there. My son is disabled. He's in a wheelchair. He can't really speak. If somebody hurts him, like, what are you going to you're going to say, oh, that's part of the procedure. No, you're not going to hurt my son. You're not going to do anything to him because I really don't know this place. And just to, secure us, we're just going to take our papers and we're just going to leave, you know. But I do know the drill. People with melanin in their skin, can be very, you know, um, how can I say, scary to some people. In other words, as though they, start to get on the phone to call 911 when you stand up for yourself, speak up, or, you know, or whatever, they tend to find you aggressive and hot. Oh, we're so scared. We have to call for, reinforcements or whatever the case may be. So not wanting to die today, knowing that it's not going to benefit my family, I'm just going to take my paperwork and I'm just going to find another place better than you. So maybe you're just good for the locals, but, my son, he's not going to get local treatment. He'll get you can have. I don't even understand. And he existed and he didn't have a card, but they pulled him up in the computer. So with that being said, a lot of parents, especially women of color, you go somewhere, something isn't for you, you know don't get hostile. Kind of, ease your way out of it. Take a different approach if you want to attack that situation. Attack it from a very, how could I say, not from an aggressive point of view, but from like a what's that word I'm looking for? A legal way. Okay, you can protest, you can, do all of that. And see, me, I'm by myself. And I'll go somewhere to do something. Yeah, it's okay to, speak up for yourself, but there's not much that you can do if you feel, that this world is going bananas. Anytime you say something, somebody's going to call 911. You know what's going to happen when 911 comes. Most likely, it's not going to be very pretty. You're not going to be here the next day. Either you're going to be sitting in jail, or you're going to be dead. So I don't want neither. Okay. My kids are not going to benefit from a mom in jail. They're not going to benefit from a mom dead on a slab in a hospital, or at the morgue, or whatever you want to call it, you know. And especially if I'm by myself, fighting this fight, it's not even necessary. I just take my papers and go somewhere else, you know. Like, it's not, who matters most, that fight or that child. You understand? My son was more important, and I just took him and we left. So, that's just my opinion. I'm pretty sure somebody will probably argue me to death later on about that. How could you say that, or whatever the case may be? Well, to each his own feelings. That's just my thought of it. My experience is that, you go somewhere and they don't want to do the job. So what they don't want to service you. So they come up with all these things like, oh, you don't exist. Like, okay, bull crap. I've had that experience before back in the 90s, and, you know, it doesn't matter who is, doing this. It's just the simple fact that if people don't want to service you, they should be bold enough to say that they don't want to service you, instead of creating some kind of illusion in their head that saying you don't exist. Because quite frankly, you do exist. You have a social security number, you do exist, right? That didn't get wiped out. They just didn't want to do the job. She didn't type anything in the computer. She just didn't want to do the job. It was too much for her to handle. And if her job was too much for her to handle, then she should just not have that job. Quit while you're ahead, ma'am. You know, that's to those people who don't want to service somebody. Be upfront. People take, upfront, criticism, better than someone, making up some kind of lie or whatever the case may be. If you don't want to service somebody, just let them know straight on. Look, I don't want to service you. Like, I'll give you to someone else, or I could refer you somewhere else. You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, that's my opinion. If you got any other opinions on how I should have handled that, if you think I should have boop, 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 beat her up, or, however, or called, her supervisor, or, whichever. If you wanted me to be hostile or legal, or just plain parental, walk away with the child. Plain and simple. He was my main thought and concern, and I love him so much. We'll find a better place for him to go, you know, get care. Just my opinion. I forgot. I had made hot chocolate because I'm doing a no coffee thing. Sometimes that help you too, and the aggression, you know, instead of flying off the handle, you know, no caffeine, especially when you got to go take care of some business. I understand some people are tired, want to be up and stuff like that. Oh my God, energy drink or whatever the case may be. But realistically, let's try to be calm, be focused, and think about our children. Let's protect our children from, places where they might not get good service. It probably was a blessing in disguise that, we didn't get past that, session of you're in a